Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm joined by my very good friend. I'm so excited to have him on. He's one of the best Chelsea content creators out there. I'm sure you all know who he is. And honestly, it's something that you guys don't know about Yan actually is that he is my personal assistant with Final Cut Pro. Any question that I have, he always helps me. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me on today's stream. Super pumped if you can't tell.
Yeah, well, pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I'd prefer the title of consultant than assistant for Final Cut Pro. Yeah, but I'm happy to come on. Obviously, weird circumstances, emotional day for all Chelsea fans. So it's going to be fun talking about it, hopefully.
We'll try to make it as fun as we possibly can, but I know that I'm hurting inside. How are you feeling when you first saw the news?
Oh, it's very difficult, isn't it? Like, kind of shocked, but not shocked, you know? Like, I if people follow my content, they'll know that although I wasn't 100% convinced with Lampard, I was absolutely desperate for him to succeed, to sort of fulfill the sort of Hollywood dream. And I think he has the capacity to be a very good coach, but that would have required a great deal of patience from Chelsea, patience that they evidently just don't have in their makeup. And yeah, disappointed. I need to let it all in, digest it, and eventually we're just all gonna have to back the new guy and hope Frank carries on and maybe even comes back one day, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, I was just the most surprised because I thought if he were to get sacked, it was going to be after that Leicester loss. And when he didn't get sacked after that, I was thinking, okay, well, surely he has a little bit more time than he won against Luton in the FA Cup yesterday. And then it happened all of a sudden after a win. Do you think that it was a little bit ruthless from the club and the board to sack him after a win? Or do you think that he knew it was coming and it was his last day?
Yeah, I mean, I think the latter. I've done a couple of videos. All my latest video, I reflected on that Athletic article that went into great detail about his sacking. If you don't mind me going on a bit of like a ramble here, I'll sort of take the story back. Okay, so reportedly started since last winter as well. We got a new man, Dan McCarthy. What's going on, man?
Thanks so much for joining.
How are we doing?
Cool. You're good, man. I was just mid rant. I'll pick up on that. If should I keep going, or do you want to intro Dan?
We already know Dan. Sorry,
we know Dan. All right, cool. Yeah. So reportedly from last winter, animosity started between Marina Granovskaya and Frank Lampard through the transfer windows, lack of transfer windows. Even at that point, Frank Lampard stated that the relationship was, quote, not great between him and Marina. So from their developments, and as soon as we know they're investigating alternatives a while ago, I think Bowl accounts, according to reports, Frank himself knew he was done after Leicester. He'd looked broken for a while. And you can reflect upon that in such a way of, yes, it could have looked harsh, 3 wins and 4, but I think the writing was on the wall prior, rightly or wrongly. I actually think the nice touch of giving Mason Mount the captaincy, I think Frank's last sort of like bastion of affection towards Mount says, look, you've been excellent for me. I want to do everything to ensure your success. And I want to, and that was an act of him probably knowing he was a dead man walking. Not that perhaps he would have done it if he was going to stay in the job, but it's like a nice sentimental touch at the end of his tenure to give that to Mount, probably knowing he's about to walk the plank. And it's very, very sad, especially after a win. So you could say it's harsh. I think in the grand context of things, it's harsh because Chelsea knew what they were signing up for. They had a very, very good first season above the standards they'd set for him. And, they wanted to nurture a developing coach, but they bottled it essentially. And the financial business aspect of the institution, I suppose, took over. And you can kind of sympathize for both that and the romanticism of most Chelsea fans wanting Frank Lampard to succeed,
Yeah, when when I saw that Mason Mount was captain yesterday, I was so happy, so excited. And I was thinking, well, surely who else are you really going to have as captain? Because Azpilicueta is not playing, Thiago Silva is not playing, N'Golo Kante is not playing. And then when the news came out, I was just like trying not to cry because I tweeted about it that, oh my God, this was the last thing that Lampard did. He made Mason Mount captain before he left. Dan, how are you feeling about that? Do you think that it was the right decision? Just give us your overall thoughts, feelings, therapy session, whatever you want.
It's 10:38 in the morning here, and I still haven't gotten over it. Like, woke up at 7, like I do every day, and I'll be honest, I woke up and kind of switched the phone off of, on, and just absolutely hundreds and thousands of messages from all angles: Twitter, WhatsApp, emails. Who emails now? Like, just absolute plethora of mess, and I didn't know what happened because I didn't even see it coming. Like, I generally, no one gave me a heads up. Well, they did, but obviously I was sleeping for 8 hours, so my heads up came 8 hours ago.
How dare you sleep then? How dare you?
Trust me. The amount of times I've had that on Twitter this morning now. You didn't know? Well, no, probably not. Not at 2 o'clock in the morning. No, I didn't. Yeah, I'm still pretty raw. To be honest, I think you guys have had a little bit longer, obviously, to process it. I haven't. It's still very raw. But I did a quick video just now for a meeting I had, and obviously jumping on here now quick. The more you hear about it, the more you read about it, the more I've been told now. This wasn't as hasty and last minute as people want to think it was. I don't know, and by the way, you might have already said this. So I apologize. I'm just repeating what Jan said.
No, we just got started. So.
But yeah, it seems very. I don't know if pre-plan is the right word, but yeah, it wasn't subsequent. It wasn't, it just happened. It was kind of, I think Leicester, we now realise, was when it was made up. I was still told at the time that he had a chance. It wasn't, obviously there were conversations. We knew about that, myself and Simon and other people. We knew that conversations happened with Tuchel. Yeah, we already knew that, but we didn't know it was going to be like now, So we kind of just put them to the side. We're kind of like, you know what, it's there. And it's waiting, but I don't think it was going to happen after Luton. So, yeah, just huge shock. But like I said, the more you read and the more people you talk to, and then people I've spoken to, people actually in the club, really, really high source now, good people, have said that there was a lot going on, which I didn't know. And I don't know if they kept that quiet on purpose or they just didn't feel comfortable sharing it. That's the game, right? The source game. But yeah, because now they can say it, right? Because he's gone. There was a lot going on that we didn't know about, and there was a lot that was happening behind the scenes that we didn't know about.
So I want to get to that, but first I want to address this one comment. It says, you're kind of deluded if you didn't think Lampard was close to the sack. I think we all knew that he was close, but for me personally, I've had to address this. I thought that if he were to get sacked, it would have been after Leicester, after a loss. So for me, it was just very surprising to happen today, 2 days before the Wolves game. It doesn't give you much time to prepare. After a win, I thought that he would have had a little bit more time if they hadn't done it already. Do you guys agree, or what do you think about it?
I'll pick up on that if you don't mind, Liz.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand, and it's no shock to anyone. He has been sacked, but I think deluded would be a little bit harsh, purely on the premise of there was this inferred notion that Chelsea were interested in changing the culture, of looking at the landscape of football and saying, right, what's working? Guardiola, Klopp, building something over time. And with that, with Lampard, again, it was the idea of, all right, he's going to screw up eventually, but we have to nurture him through that. Certain play, I mean, like Dan just said, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, more stuff than we didn't know about in terms of animosity with players and stuff. But it was an implication that they were willing to go through these growing pains because he's a spokesperson of the club. He'll put the club first. He'll want to nurture the players, be there for a long time, and he won't put his ego above the managerial job like every other frigging coach we've had, for a long, long time. And what's frustrating is it sort of was the last sort of bastion of romance and loving. Everyone wanted to love your club, Chelsea Football Club, the greatest ever player that is a sort of talisman of what we are good for under the Abramovich era and before. He is Chelsea, and he will put us first. And to just, rip it all up and bottle it. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. I need to get that out of the way. I was on the fence just because I wanted something to happen. Didn't mean I truly believed it would happen. and to get Thomas Tuchel again, really smart in terms of in terms of an appointment of convenience, multilingual, French, German, English, suits our squad down to a T. He hasn't got a job. He's generally a good tactician. But that is for me now, and I hate to say this early doors, that is like a disaster waiting to happen. He's Antonio Conte 2.0. And he Leonardo hates him. He's a self-destructive manager. His last 2 big jobs, he's done that. I'm not saying he's going to do that at Chelsea. I'm going to back him fully. But it just makes you think, Jesus, you're going straight back into this thing you're trying to get away from. And, would any of us here in this stream be surprised if Tuchel was sacked in 18 months? No,
I wouldn't be.
That last, well said, Jan, by the way. And there's a reason I jumped on this, because I think there's only certain, Jan's one of them guys that talks sense and he's very real, which I appreciate. Yeah. The last comment here I'm just reading, why do we only find out after the fact that there's problems? Well, we obviously hear things, right? I don't know if you guys hear things too, but obviously I hear things and we hear things. And I don't think people understand how things work in I don't want to say journalism world or media world, because I'm not fully in that world, but you can't just come out and say, when you hear something, right? You can't just go on Twitter and go, oh, by the way, this happened. Imagine the uproar that would happen if we knew everything. And people have tweeted me today saying, when I put out an opinion, people have tweeted saying, oh, Dan, you can't do that. That's dividing the fan base. As if I'm, and I get it. Like, apparently we have platforms now, right? Us people who have followers and we are, policing whatever. It's just, you can't do that is really the answer. That, I heard what weeks ago, I'm sure you guys did too, that there were player arguments and there was player unrest. We heard that weeks ago. We knew that was happening. But it wasn't
the level to which it was happening. No, I was shocked to read about today in the Athletic and the Telegraph. What were you guys' takes on that? Because my hit the ground.
No, I'm not surprised. And again, this is not me celebrating myself, right? I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to be having this. I don't want to talk about this. I want Lampard still be the manager, but no, it wasn't a shock at all, and that's why the first thing I tweeted was, "It stinks like player power and politics." And yeah. Ellie, in your stream and another stream I did a couple of weeks ago, I said politics, and a few people tweeted me saying, "What do you mean politics? Politics? There's politics, people." And I keep alluding to it. People don't want to like it, and they don't want to buy it, but it's true. And we're now seeing there's so many politics, there's so many underlying things at Chelsea Football Club, and our club is, unfortunately, and this is not me being emotional to Lampard, this is emotional to the club. It's a little bit of a mess right now. And Thomas Tuchel coming in now, like Jan said very well, there's implications there for Conte 2.0, and this guy is short term. If there's any short term answer out there, it's him. And I actually like him. I think I'm very similar thinking to Jan. I think he's a good manager and he's tactically very good. He plays the youth and he can bring something to the table, right? But it goes against everything and contradicts everything that we were trying to do a year ago or two. And we're stuck now. I feel like we're a bit stuck as a club, to be honest. I feel like we're stuck.
Please go.
No, go for it.
Just to pick up, because you posed the question about the player power thing. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I echo what Dan says, but also, look, if you just look at the sort of tangible factors, right? So Lampard comes in and he quite rightly plays certain youth players that we're all probably quite happy he did. Tammy Abraham, Reece James, Fikayo Tomori initially, Mason Mount, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek when he's here. We're all very pleased he did that. But imagine and I don't condone any snake behavior, of course, but imagine if you are a Rudiger, you came in from Roma as a successful player, you've come to Chelsea, you won, the Europa League starting, you're a senior player, you start for Germany, new gaffer comes in and he wants to just play academy kids over you, you're going to have your ego bruised. Now, that doesn't mean, we'd all probably agree there are players that should be starting over Rudiger. But that's as a sort of, if you have the sort of empathetic view, they're going to have problems with it. I don't condone any sort of going behind the man. There's reports of Kovacic and Rudiger going straight to the board. And as Pilaqueta.
That one.
and as Pilaqueta clashing with Rudiger over this, because as you'd expect, as Pilaqueta's Chelsea man played with Lampard, he's been made he's the gaffer under Lampard. He's very much of the Lampard parish. Obviously, didn't and that wants the youth to come through as well as Pilaqueta. As Pilaqueta, has won everything, is used to playing more than anyone else. Yeah, used to playing than anyone else. More than happy to bow down and let Reece James come in for the good of his club. You know, so that is professional, an immaculate attitude. One that I guess you can't expect from every player, because then you'd have like a golden elite squad of titans. That's just not feasible anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's messed up. I kind of understand it. It's a drama. It's like but this is football, and more than that, this is Chelsea Football Club, and it's just success, turmoil, drama, devastation, heartbreak, joy. You know, there's a reason why we're all Chelsea fans have probably got a shorter life expectancy.
Yeah, sure.
I think the thing that just like pissed me off so much about that was that, you know, like you said, I could see if he's upset if an academy player taking a spot, but he was playing last season. We saw that Tomori was phased out after the first half of the season, and he was playing more or less consistently. He got phased out because of Thiago Silva, and Kurt Zuma was playing infinitely better than him. So I like, how can you? I just don't. I'm at a loss for words, because how can you like how can you be so upset about somebody playing better than you and starting? It's like, just have some what's the word? Like humility. Humility.
Integrity as well. Professional integrity.
Better. You know, and that's what makes me so mad, that it's this entitlement that they think that they deserve to start over anybody because they are a senior player, and that is not the case. I'm guys, but this guy has got me started.
Modern football. And I think it's probably Azpilicueta that's getting you riled up as well, Ellie, for obvious reasons. As you know, Azpilicueta just does something for a lot of people. But he's a model professional, and, you know, unfortunately, there's not many of them anymore. There's not many of him anymore. And, yeah, you know, I've spoken to people who are players as well. And, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. There's a divide. Let's just say that. There's definitely a divide. And shockwaves through the club and around it right now. And this changes a lot. Sorry, Jan, but this changes.
No. I completely agree. I just want to further that and speculate, you know, in the discussion. Obviously, Anthony Barry and Joe Edwards took training today, the delayed training that was pushed back into the afternoon. I don't think it would shock any one of us here on the stream or in the comment section that Jody Morris wasn't anything to do with that, whether he wasn't assigned that. But even if he was, you can imagine Frank goes, he goes, you know, like Derby, you know, very, very close between them. And, you know, even when they lost the playoff final for Derby, I remember Jody Morris's comments about Frank, about how he wouldn't want to lose next to anyone else. You know, his very close relationship. And you know, I tweeted out about this earlier, guys. I know we can talk about Lampard more, but just on Tuchel just for a moment. Yeah, we have to obviously welcome this guy with open arms, because ultimately he's a coach coming to Chelsea to try and win, and that's paramount. But he's got a messed up job to deal with, because he's not just coming into a club that might be ripped up on the inside over the opinion of a manager. It's Frank Lampard, club icon that, you know, loads of people love. A lot of the fans love, granted, not all. A lot of the fans, the media certainly love him, and a lot of the squad. And he's got to come into that and try and, you know, make it all okay, and then try and implement his ideas and impose himself onto the squad. Wow, what a job. Like, it's not like he's coming after Conte, he was canned, or Sarri, who, you know, everyone understands. This is messed up. Mid-season as well. Boy, this guy's got a job on his hands to, like, prepare everything internally and externally. But, yeah, I just wanted to say that. I know, don't know whether you want to talk about Tuchel soon or not, but, you know, I'm sure there's lots.
No, like, Dan will tell you that I'm just super chill on this. Like, we can talk about literally whatever, and it's just like whatever comes up, going through comments, like very relaxed. So that kind of leads me to this question that we got. So what does Tuchel have to do differently, like, to get Chelsea up and running? And do you think that the expectations for him are going to be different, or do you think that he needs to secure top 4 as well? Dan, I'll go to you first.
First things first, echoing what Jan said, we definitely got to back him. Like, you know, I think people will probably look at me and go, well, yeah, you included. And 100%. Whoever's manager of Chelsea Football Club, we have to back 110%. Tough situation after a club legend, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the decision has been made and we can't change that. So we have to move on. And people will say, you're just Frank Lampard, but I back Sarri and back Conte. I think a lot of you guys did too. So we're just backing the football coach. We're backing the head coach. We're not backing necessarily one person. With Tuchel, I think expectations are the same. the club's expectations are top 4, do well in the FA Cup and go as far in the Champions League as we can. And I don't think that changes. I don't think, even though, circumstances would alter that in a normal world, I don't think Chelsea Football Club's a normal world. And I don't think Abramovich is going to give Tuchel any kind of leniency. There's a reason Tuchel's coming in. He's an experienced person at this level. He's played, he's managed some top players, top personalities at a top level, So, yeah, he's not going to get a settling in period. He's going to have to get results immediately. We've seen that. There's no sentiment with Abramovich. There's no, I said this to someone on another stream. There's no sentiment. There's no doing favours. That's not Abramovich's. He sacked Lampard for numbers. Let's be honest here. He looked at 100%. The statistics. He looked at the numbers. He looked at the finances. He looked at the thing, and that's what he sacked him on. Not because he doesn't like him. So he even put out a statement which tells you that the respect he has for Lampard. Back on Tuchel, what does he have to do to get the team running? I know what people are going to say. Put Werner and Havertz in their right positions and we'll be fine. Not necessarily. This is football. There's a human aspect to this. Havertz doesn't just go into 10 now and become the best player in the world. That does not happen. System has to change. Havertz has to get his confidence back. Werner the same. That Tuchel's going to have to work on that. Tuchel's apparently a very good man manager. He's very thorough. He's very tough, which is good. Chelsea, we need that. Let's be honest. I think Lampard tried to be people's friends, and that kind of got stabbed in the back for that a little bit. So he's got a lot. He's got to be putting out fires, and that's something I was told this morning by somebody who's in the club. Like, Azpilicueta's been putting out fires for a few months now. That's literally what he said. They said that he's been doing that for months, like putting out fires and training, putting out fires behind the scenes, and posting on social media, very timely posts, right? Even when he's not playing, and now it's all come out. You can see it. You can definitely see it. So we've got to get behind him.
So underrated, man. I will stand forever.
Yeah, we've got to get behind Tuchel. But yeah, expectations are the same, and top 4 is absolute minimum at this point. FA Cup, we've got to go as far as we can. The FA Cup means a lot to this club, and then Champions League, we've got to go places, and that will Tuchel will love that and want that because obviously he took PSG to the final. Whether they were playing well or not, he did. So,
can I just pick up on that previous question as well, Liz? That's all right what Dan said as well. But I think actually as well, if you look at the statement, I think it was actually very honest from Chelsea how they don't see a way out. And Tuchel's implementation of the squad, it would have to be like a immediate direction and trajectory. I think, of course, Havertz and Werner, the 2 recent big investments. Like you say, Roman made the decision quite rightly because of the numbers, and the numbers massively lie within Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. Huge financial outlays as assets for the company of Chelsea Football Club. And I kind of disagree a little bit on Kai Havertz in terms of confidence. I actually think he looks pretty confident, Kai Havertz, since he got better from his illness. He does make those little disguised forward passes, expecting the people to run for him. I think in terms, I think he needs to learn his teammates better, but I'm not worried in terms of confidence for Kai Havertz. I am very much for Timo Werner. He looks broken. And not the first time in his career, not irreparably, but I think they looked at him and go, right, we've got one of Europe's best gunmen, and we're on the brink of doing some serious damage for him moving forwards. I think Werner's huge. 1 goal in 15 games or whatever. It's more probably, I think it was. And he is known for scoring goals. So they probably looked at that and thought, right, that's huge. I think Havertz will be all right, but he needs to be implemented differently. Yeah, and it's massive. I do actually sympathise a little bit for Tuchel. Like, you've got this highlighted comment here, Les, about half the fans are against him. I think a lot of people are upset, but I don't think people will be against Tuchel because provided they're regular people, they'll understand this is a guy who's been offered a job and he's taken it. Yeah. And they tried to get him before Conte. A lot of people won't know what we know about the combustive nature about Tuchel and how that's a danger. But if you're a Chelsea fan, you can't think that far ahead, even if that far ahead is 18 months. You have to think, right, this guy comes in, he speaks fluent French, which is great for our squad. He speaks fluent English, of course, which is brilliant, proper fluent English as well. I remember him speaking as a Dortmund coach doing English interviews. He's coached Thiago Silva, he's coached Christian Pulisic, and he will know Havertz and Werner very well from the Bundesliga. And it's just an absolute appointment of mega convenience. So that's it.
Yeah, good word, convenience for sure.
Yeah,
and you say there, just to finish up on that, I agree in your disagreement. Havertz is nowhere near as bad as Werner. I'll clarify that, and I'll agree with you there.
Confidence-wise,
he's not. Yeah. And I think Havertz is one of them because he's younger and everything. That if he gets a goal or two, he'll be fine. So I agree with you there, Jan. And you make a point there on Tuchel and people hating him. Tuchel wins, or Tuchel, however you say his name at this point. I'm going to get used to that now. If I didn't already. If he wins 5 games in a row, a lot will be forgotten.
Absolutely.
A lot will be. That's football. That's why the decision was made to sack Frank Lampard, because of results and figures. So same thing on the other hand, on the other side of that. If Tuchel starts winning games,
mate, Timo Werner hat trick in his first game underneath his tenure. That's all it would take.
Exactly. 90% of the fan base would be 5 years. Yeah, give him a 5-year contract.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and if he, as well, like, he is quite a funny character. Like, his PSG initiation song, he sang like happy with the squad. He is willing to be silly amongst the boys. So if he wins them, if he celebrates a goal and gives Tammy Abraham a cuddle after a goal at one point, the rest will be fucking. The rest will be history. Do you know what I mean?
There's too much. Yeah. So I really hope that he can get the tactics right. I think that he's a very good tactician. We've seen that he's very fluid with his systems, that he really focuses on pace and attacking fluidity. So I'm really hoping that he can get the best out of players like Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. And I don't know if he was necessarily hired as an added advantage that he's a German speaker and they're German and we want to get the best out of them. Yep. Could be a coincidence, could not. But I do want to ask you guys this question that we got. So do you think that the players essentially gave up on Frank Lampard? We know that player power has been really something that a lot of managers have struggled with in the past. So do you think that they just weren't performing for him, or do you think that they were just so completely void of confidence that nothing could really fix it at that point?
It's a bit of everything, Liz. It's there was reports that some players were concerned about his lack of tactical acumen, and that might be your Kovacic's and stuff like that. A few people, who remember someone like Mateo Kovacic, the amount of coaches he's worked under, Inter, Real Madrid, Sarri before Lampard, and he's still a young guy. Do you know what I mean? Someone like him. So I think there's a little bit of that. The players. This is on a minor tangent. This is kind of for me. I was happy. I wasn't happy. I was willing to accept negative results as teething issues, growing pains, and all this, that, the other. But the Man City loss, not even the Arsenal one, the Man City loss, Frank Lampard looked devoid of ideas, and he didn't know what it looked like. He was like, oh, okay, what? And that's the moment that happens as a head coach of any football team, let alone, it doesn't matter the size. It could be Sunday League, it could be Chelsea Football Club. It exudes for the players. It's like the same, when you say Kepa lost his confidence and it went up the pitch to players and, the defense and Mendy comes in and for a while it was all a lot better. It's similar with the coach. If he's not asserting himself, the lack of leadership sort of spreads throughout. And you've got people fighting on the pitch, a few people like, Reece James, Mason Mount, the people that owe everything to Frank Lampard, fighting for him. Great players, great tenacious players playing on. But it's not enough. It might be enough for a mid-table club to sort of bubble along, but it's not enough for Chelsea at this point. And ultimately, you marry that with gargantuan investment and just financial expectations. And we are here in this live stream today talking about this.
Yeah, I want to be cognizant. I know that you guys didn't have too much time, so I just want to do a quick check-in. How are you guys? If you have to pop
I can do it probably up to 20 more minutes. Liz, because I've shifted some things around actually. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. I'm sure everybody will be happy to hear that. Dan, of course, if you have to go, I know you have another stream as well. We're all very busy, so whenever you have to drop, just drop. Totally fine. Just let me know.
Yeah. Just kind of echoing on that point. Yeah, I mean, it's the divide is very obvious. I don't think anybody needs. There's no point. There's no now in naming who the names are, who are divided, and what concept of the dressing room is divided. I think it's pretty obvious who is versus who at this point. And yeah, when Lampard did look lost on the sideline, and from coaching myself, and like Young was spot on. It doesn't matter what level you're at, which is why I'm allowed to answer this question. Right? Obviously, I'm not a Premier League coach, but I am a coach, and it's at any level and at any age actually, because players and kids are a lot smarter than we give credit for. And you know, we argue about player power and we think it's wrong, and that is true. But at the same token, that's the modern game now. The players are number one, and you know, it doesn't matter if you're Sir Alex Ferguson at this point. You know, I think in this modern football, if you don't have the players on your side, you're bang in trouble. That all the players, by the way, not just 5 or 10, as Lampard saw, right? I think if you went in the dressing room, you see half one side, half the other, or maybe 60-40, whatever. So,
Not bad.
So yeah, with that, in saying that, you know, Lampard, to my original point now, when the players saw that from Lampard, I think that was trouble, because, you know, the players would have seen through that and seen that. Like if we saw it, the players have definitely seen it, and they've seen it on a more regular basis in terms of training. You know, we don't know what they've worked on specifically, but players, I was a player, you guys I'm sure have played, and you know, you can kind of figure out what the manager, if they have a real philosophy, they know what they're doing just from like what they're working on in training. You know how they're addressing poor form. You know, what's he trying to do, fix it. And I think, you know, you're looking back on it now, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. That Lampard just looked absolutely dismayed 2 or 3 times on that sideline, and I think the players have looked to the side, and you know, a few of them have got undefined love for him, and they'll back him no matter what. And we know who those players are, but there's also a lot of players in that squad who would have looked over to their right or left and gone, "No,
I'm saying that, yeah, absolutely."
No. And then Roman is on that side. Roman's not the sentimental, you know, he hasn't owed anything to Lampard. You know, if anything, Lampard owes something to him, right? I've given him the job, etc., etc. So. And player aside, this is, by the way, which is a whole argument on Twitter, right? Player and manager is a different person. So, yeah, obviously Abramovich is now sided with that side of, I don't, you know, numbers, figures. I don't owe you anything. I don't really believe in you. And fair enough. Roman, as soon as Roman put 250 million into this club again, you knew who was in control and you knew who was making.
Yeah, that's it.
Knew what was going to happen. I think we all kind of wanted Lampard 5-10 years, but as soon as he did that, we all knew that this is Chelsea of old again.
The thing is, that's so true, isn't it? Like when I was hearing what you were saying, say, like, I don't know, whatever, like a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, it was like, you know, Roman expects a title challenge. I sort of just took that as like a reductionist throwaway comment, you know, and that was naive of me. Like, oh yeah, come on, yeah, of course Roman spends, so he expects a title, and you know, Frank, if he doesn't deliver it, Frank will can him. I sort of brushed that away, like, look, Chelsea's squad was in need of a revamp, you know, like there's a new culture change here, like naive, Yannick. You know, this was going to happen regardless because of the transfer ban, because of generated revenue. Willian and Pedro, first choice wingers gone. This was always going to happen because we were within the boundaries of financial fair play. It's just a coincidence Frank Lampard's in the job and has his own particular instance of trying to develop as a coach. But the truth is, what Dan just said is of course true. He spent, I'm not going to swear, a lot of money. And he's like, and how has Roman Abramovich lived his life and made his money? By being a businessman, seeing a return. Of course, he bought Chelsea originally as a way to spend money. I'm not going to get into like anything that I shouldn't say, but yes. But like at this point, he's like, right, we're an established London club. We're Champions League winners. We haven't won a title for 4 years. It's time that I impose myself in this situation where I can take advantage of this, financial landscape, pandemic. I've got the ability to spend a lot. This is when we strike. And ultimately, you know, it was too much for Lampard. I'd be really interested as well to ask you guys the question about Lampard himself moving forward as a coach, because, you know, people say, like, I tweeted out, like, wouldn't it be great if he got the Celtic job? Lampard versus Gerrard, Celtic Rangers, probably an appropriate level for him, whether they take him. I also really liked Brendan Rodgers's comments in response to his sacking, talking about how he's disappointed, but it's difficult to listen to now. But Frank will be better for this in terms of his own development, and that should mean a lot coming from Brendan Rodgers, who's an excellent coach now, top tier excellent coach, whether you like it or not, if you just laugh at how funny he's been in the past. But he had some like bad performances and a couple of bad jobs, really struggled before, you know, he went to Celtic, did well, and went to like Leicester. So he can talk from experience of his journey and say, look, Frank, if you want to, you will get here. And that kind of meant a lot to me, now
Yeah.
separating Frank as a Chelsea manager, I'm just looking at my idol, Frank Lampard, as a manager again, like I did when he was at Derby. I can connect to that again and just watch and hope for him. And hearing Brendan Rodgers say that sort of encouraging words, I thought that. So I'd be keen to hear what you guys think. Do you think he will keep managing? And what level do you think? Because also, again, to finish, the Athletic article that everyone cited recently also said that actually prior to Chelsea, he was offered a very good job that he turned down after Derby because of Chelsea. Now, very good in what context? I'm not sure. Is that a mid-table Premier League club? Is that a low Premier League club? Or is that a really big championship club with an illustrious history? I'm not so sure, but he turned down a great job to come to Chelsea. So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think.
I'll just jump in, Eddie, real quick.
Yeah,
I just wanted to kind of comment on a couple of things that I saw here, and then we'll get on to it for sure. People were saying Abramovich never wanted a rebuild, and it never changed. He did. He did actually want to rebuild. And people, I know it's easy to say no, he didn't now, but he did because, and I'll tell you why he did. Lampard took the job. He appointed Lampard as a free hit. Let's be honest. He knew it was a free hit, and there wasn't much to lose. I mean, obviously he's lost his job now, but in the timing of things, there wasn't that many managers available. Chelsea were kind of on the downhill. It was a free hit. If it worked, great. If it didn't, it didn't. And business-wise, we weren't paying Lampard Conte money. You know, we're now apparent, according to Matt Lauder, it was a 2-year deal rather than a 3-year deal. The severance, payment was very low. It was low risk. But Abramovich, he did want a project. He does crave that. He craves a lot of things, by the way, Mr.
Dynasty, yeah.
He does crave it. He really does. He gave Pep Guardiola a blank check. He wanted Mourinho to come back and do it again. He's given managers, he's backed managers in the past with Conte and his transfer policies. He does crave it. And he also craves attacking football, which we also know as well. So people were saying he never wanted a dynasty or he never wanted a long-term thing. No, he did. But when he put the 250 million into the club and saw no immediate results, the businessman side came back out at him. So I think there was a little bit of sentiment for Abramovich. It's probably like 5%, let's be honest. Don't know the guy, but, love him, appreciate what he's done for the club. But, there was probably like a 5 or 10% of him that did give that sentiment away. And I think he feels like he's been burned a little bit, I think, from the business side of things. And I'll tell you another hint that would tell you that Abramovich did want a rebuild and he did want to believe in Lampard and a long-term project. The fact that he came out of a statement himself and he literally put his own words on the statement.
First time.
Abramovich doesn't do that. He simply does not do that. And he's not doing that because he still loves Frank Lampard as a player. He's not. He's already thanked Frank Lampard and he's done it. He doesn't look at Frank Lampard as the player anymore, and rightfully not. He did that because he genuinely, I think there was a part of him, a small part of him, but a part of him that wanted Lampard. Of course, he wanted him to succeed. Of course, but you understand what I'm saying? I think he really wanted Lampard to be that guy.
Well, he could have been sacked earlier, and that's that's testament to what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And going back to what Jan said about Frank Lampard being a manager, honestly, I got chills during your speech. It was really, really, really well said. I wish I could speak as eloquently as you can, honestly. But I do think that we're going to see him in management. I think, where that is, I'm not too sure. Maybe he takes a little bit of a rest, to kind of regain his strength a little bit. But like you said, he's not the type of person to let things get to him down. He's always been a fighter, and he's always going to keep fighting. So I think that he's really going to learn from this experience, embrace it, and take the lessons that he needs to. And who knows, maybe in 10 years, we'll see him, in my hopeful mind, we will see him as manager again once he has a little bit more experience.
Oh, you will. You will. Frank Lampard will be a manager for a long time. He's given to the game. He's a very determined individual. He will come back from this.
Yeah, he loves it as well, doesn't he? He's come out on several occasions and said winning as a manager is better than winning as a player. And he says it hurts more, but it feels better to win. It hurts more to lose, but it feels better to win. And once he said that, he'll be back. He has to be back. And it will be. Imagine his next job. He'll be like, right, I've done good, I've done bad, I've been through it. It's like almost like I hope it's like, I'm not going to swear on your channel, Liz, but it's like the Andy Dufresne from the Shawshank Redemption. He crawled through a tunnel of, and comes out clean the other side. Like you've got to go through it to get through it. And Frank Lampard has certainly been through it, and he's definitely a capable individual. And if he truly loves managing as much as he says he would, he'll get a job better than Derby, not quite the level of Chelsea, and he'll work his way up. And who knows, maybe in like 8 years, he'll come back as like winning a few trophies, and he'll return to Chelsea.
Yeah, that's the ideal. And I think that, I wouldn't be overly against that happening. I really wouldn't. And I wouldn't bet against it happening, because Lampard's also got this lesson very early in his managerial career, by the way. Some managers for 10, 15, 20 years, they don't get this lesson. He's got it very early. So if anything, his upside is very high. He just needs the right support in the back end. Yeah, you'll see Lampard in the managerial circuit for a long, long time. And he will be successful, along with Steven Gerrard and them other kind of guys.
Yeah, both. Liz, I just saw an interesting comment about Poch instead of Tuchel from Rohan there. That was put in the article today, that actually Pochettino was the biggest target, the top of target.
Yeah,
and he wanted Chelsea as well. He wanted to stay in London. He saw the prestige of Chelsea as a London club, as a Premier League club, the finances, the squad for him to build. And I think when he saw that Frank Lampard started this season well, he was like, well, I'm not going to get the job. And he took the PSG job. And apparently, I mean, there's rumored regret on both sides. But yeah, they really wanted him. He wanted Chelsea. I mean, I'm sure now he's at PSG, a club that he played at. He's fine. But apparently he was actually waiting out for the Chelsea job, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, it's common knowledge. That was the number one. Marina's number one. Roma's number one. And Poch. I actually thought when I first heard it that there's no way, because Poch has this loyalty thing, which he subsequently...
To Espanol, yeah.
So, but no, you're right, Jan, in saying that. I'm not sure if he was necessarily, waiting for the Chelsea job, but he was intrigued and very interested by it. And I think if the right offer was put his way, we could have seen it. And I would have loved it. I would have loved Poch number one.
I think he would have taken more, he'd feel winning a trophy at Chelsea is a better achievement than winning a trophy at PSG, of course, unless he's unless he wins the Champions League with them. So he probably would have thought, right, I've done so well in this landscape of the Premier League with Tottenham, coming into a club with a more winning mentality and better squad and better, I say facilities. Tottenham's facilities and stadium now is immaculate, but his race was run there, and I think he would have very much liked the Chelsea job.
Oh my God, my voice just totally left me. Yeah, to see what he did at Tottenham, it would have been interesting to see what he could have done at Chelsea, I think, because I do rate him so highly as a coach, and just how he completely turned that Tottenham team around, got them to a Champions League final. It would have been really interesting, but who knows, it's Chelsea and we're always changing managers, so it's a possibility for the future. There's a lot of people talking about the whole Rudiger incident, and they're saying that Tuchel is German. He has Kai Havertz, Timo Werner. Rudiger is also German, as we know. So do you guys think that Rudiger has a revived future at Chelsea now because of his appointment?
Two answers to that.
About that revived future, because I want to know.
I mean, instantaneously, my reaction to perhaps him going against Lampard and going straight to the board, it's upsetting, especially from a player who hasn't been playing well. Certainly last season, he was very, very poor. Yes, the reports indicate Tuchel wanted Rudiger at PSG and Jorginho. I've got nothing against Jorginho personally. I'm a massive Gilmour fan, and I just think the way his dynamism changes Chelsea's makeup in the midfield is huge. So if he, it's going to be rather uninspiring for a large segment of the Chelsea fan base if Tuchel comes in and just starts Rudiger and Jorginho at the expense of Zuma and Gilmour, or God, even Kante. Do you know what I mean? I think Rudiger, will he stay? I think he probably will. I mean, if he plays him, he'll stay. Ultimately, that will be it. Rudiger right now will be thinking, hot damn, I'm staying at Chelsea. In his head, he'll be like, I'm staying at Chelsea. I like London. I moved to Chelsea because I want to play for Chelsea. Now this coach is coming in who wants me. He's a German like me. He's probably loving life, Rudiger. apart from perhaps his own social interaction problems with his squad,
boiling.
with his teammates. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If fans were in Stamford Bridge right now, they would not be happy with him, I don't think, and I think he'd find it more difficult to stay.
I'll jump in real quick there. If fans were in the stadium, I will still be the manager of Chelsea Football Club.
Oh yeah, well there you go, 100%. They were opportunists, weren't they, Dan? They were like, you know what? There's no one here to rally a war. There's a new banner from We Are the Shed, in the stadium saying we trust Lampard. Lampard we trust, that went up the day before he was sacked.
Well, Roman would have seen that too, and Roman does that. That's common knowledge. That's a guaranteed fact. Roman does look at fan interaction. Roman does look at fan kind of, for lack of a better word, attitudes. I don't know. That plays a part in his decision making, and the fact that that's been taken away from him made the decision a little bit easier.
Opportunism, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, Jan, but I just wanted to make that.
That was it, mate. Yeah, I mean, I was just rambling about Rudiger. I think in his head, he'll probably think, I've got a chance now, but we don't know till we know. I tweeted out originally, I worry for all these academy players, but Tuchel does play young players. He might come in and say, right, who's been playing well? If he truly is a great coach that looks at his arsenal of players, he'll look at the body of work and be like, right, well, Billy Gilmore's been immaculate every time he's been on the pitch. I'm going to play him. Do you know what I mean? So you'd hope for a bit of that. Yeah. And in the same sentence, maybe he'll think, I don't really fancy Rudiger, but maybe he does because reportedly he wanted him. So it's difficult to say until you know.
It just makes me so mad that the reports of Rudiger coming out. I didn't even know that he went to the board. I just knew that he fought with Aspie. So finding that out made me even more upset. But I just don't think that he's been playing well enough to justify that. And I don't think that he deserves a second chance at Chelsea. I think that he should have been sold in the summer. It was a mistake not to sell him originally. And yeah, I'm just
you're mad. Yeah.
I'm mad. I don't get mad easily, you guys, but I'm mad.
He's got two decisions to make here, Tuchel. He either goes with his tried and trusted, like if you look at the starting team on paper, who can get all the form players, right, who can get in the results now, which he's going to need, by the way, because if he loses his first 2-3 games, he's bang in trouble. Or he's not really, because he's going to get at least to the end of the season, right? But you know what I mean. If he's got any want or any desire to keep the job for a long term, he's got to get top 4 this year. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Which he'll want, by the way. Like Tuchel will want to stay as long as he can. Chelsea might not want him to, but
he'll want to stay until the fallout starts, and then he'll want to get himself sacked for severance pay, because that's what playing free CDMs for PSG, throwing it in basically.
Well, and Chelsea will do that, right? Chelsea will pay up, but they will.
Yeah, exactly. So
football now. I wish I got that job. 18 months in the job, I had a few million.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad. I think. If he don't imagine, I mean, let's not be negative here, speculative. But what if he doesn't get top 4, and Frank's thinking, you knobheads? Imagine if he. Imagine. Yeah, I mean,
he'd have to go all out, wouldn't he? He'd have to go all out for a Nagelsmann, or he'd have to go out. He'd have to. I mean, unless you afford the same opportunity as maybe a Lampard in a different respect. So if you give him 1 year to build on,
well, let's not be negative. No,
Tuchel. We're backing Tuchel to get top 4. We've got to back him, man. Definitely got to back Tuchel. We want Chelsea to do well.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys think or know that Rudiger is going to be in the starting lineup versus Wolves?
I'm not talking about it. I've got to go anyway because, I already jumped in here real quick. The only reason I jumped in is because it's your stream and I like Jan. That's the only reason I jumped in.
Good time to tap out about Rudiger.
Yeah, so I think for obvious reasons, I don't know, from my tweets and what I've heard and what I've been told, I'm just not going to talk about that because I don't need more. This is already a mess of a day anyway. But yeah, Tuchel's got a decision to make. The last thing I'll say is, like I was kind of getting to earlier, he either plays who he trusts and players on form, right? Oh, sorry, he either plays who he trusts and likes, which is probably Rudiger, Silva, Jorginho, Giroud. He might have, I don't know, I'm just kind of speculating at this point, right? Yeah, is that the or he's smart, in my opinion, but my opinion doesn't really matter. Or he's smart and he plays who's on form, which is Gilmore, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Tammy.
Yeah.
That's his decision to make. That's management. So, and Lampard talked about it, form players versus the tried and trusted. He obviously tried and trusted with Mason Mount. Form players, he had a bit of a tough time with Callum. But that's a decision Tuchel's got to make. But Rudiger, I actually liked Rudiger. I thought he offered something. I backed him in the past, but yeah, it's hard to stick up for after this. It's hard, but
it's difficult, isn't it?
You guys started it. You guys will end it. You guys are brilliant. I'm a big fan of both your work, so keep it going.
Cool, man.
I'm sure we'll talk soon, all of us, but I'll leave you guys with it.
Thank you, everyone. Dan.
Please.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. Yeah,
Cool.
I don't even know if Tuchel. I looked it up before the stream and it said Tuchel. So I'm like, really
I think maybe Tuchel as well. We'll soon find out, Liz. He'll come in and he'll say in his first press conference.
Straight. But I don't even know if he'll be in London in time to manage the Chelsea team for the Wolves game. So we might not see a Tuchel team until Burnley at the weekend.
That would be weird if it's like a Anthony Barry, Joe Edwards management team for the Wolves game. What the hell is that going to look like? It's going to be like set pieces and kids, basically. But yeah, and how the players going to react? You know, like who's going to start? How the players going to react? It's going to be very.
I feel like especially the academy players like Mason Mount. I can't even imagine.
He's pretty heartbroken. It's very, very sad.
Even imagine he hasn't. I've been checking all of their social media to see if anybody's posted.
He has, Reece James and Tammy so far.
Yeah.
And Billy Gilmore as well.
Billy Gilmore posted. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've actually got a bounce as well, Liz. It's
okay.
It's been it's been great. Hopefully we've covered a lot of the stuff you wanted to talk about on this stream, and thanks for having me on. I look forward. We'll do it again sometime. I look forward to jumping on again. Hopefully, if you'll have me.
Of course, that's not even a question. Whenever you are free, you know, I'm so happy to have you. You're an incredible guest. I'm sure that all of the people in this stream would agree with that as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I know that you're really busy. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you don't follow Jan already, you definitely do. So I don't know why I'm even saying this. To subscribe to his channel if you, by the 1% chance, have not yet. He's awesome, and thank you so much for joining me again on this stream.
Cool.
All right, guys.
I'll see you soon.
See you. I'm going to hop on Monstar's stream right now. So if you want to see more of me, check me out on that stream. Until then, see you next time.